And we're live for another Tactical Tuesday. Welcome to the call. It's fantastic to have you here. I think that there's people on YouTube, we've got LinkedIn, we've got Facebook, people in the Future Proof discussion group. Fantastic to have you here with me. And today I'm going to be talking about all things influence. Now, the reason I'm talking about influence is because of this awesome series, which I'll just quickly show you here, which is the Influencer series that you may or may not have been a part of already. It started last week, it goes for the next 5 weeks, but myself and Kieran Zerner and a host of other awesome experts in influence are coming together and are creating a free online masterclass session that runs for 5 weeks. And if you're looking to increase your influence, for whatever reason that might be, and we'll talk about that in just a moment, then I would love you to go to that link and actually join up today. Now I'll get rid of that link because we don't need to watch that the whole time. Today I want to be talking about influence. Now, what is influence? Well, it's our ability to help more people and spread the word of what we're doing further and more effectively, really. It's helping us move people from where they are to where they need to be. It's going to help us personally do a whole lot of things too. So having more influence is going to get you, let's say that you're working a job, it's going to get you a better job. It's going to get you more often promotions. You're going to get more of those promotion opportunities. And really, that's the outcome of what influence gives you. And I'll just move this thing here so I can see what's going on. But influence gives you opportunities. And so whether it be for the next job, whether it be for next promotion, whether it's for more ideal customers into your world, because it's actually not that hard to get customers in general, but there are plenty of people out there that are just going, I really don't love the customers I've got, and I need to shift that, and I need to find a way to get more of those better, those ideal customers that I absolutely love working with. Influence is also going to help you get more opportunities that are going to get you to your financial freedom goals faster. So that's another reason to look at influence and a reason to improve your influence skills. And just at the end of the day, you might want to be recognized as the leader really you deserve to be recognized as. And having more influence is going to help you do that, whether you're leading a team, whether you're working within an organization, whether you just want to be seen as a leader within your own industry. Having influence is going to give you those things. So where to start with influence? And so last week in the Influencer series, I talked about vision, and I think it's definitely it's crucial to have a vision for what you actually want to do with that influence, because there's no point in attracting eyeballs for the sake of it. We've had questions around that before. It's nice to generate this interest, but why? And I completely agree. Like, if you don't have a reason to start using that influence, to actually start directing that influence, then why are we doing all the hard work and all the lessons to learn how to grow ourselves personally and our influence to help more people around the world? Well, if we don't have a vision, then there's no reason in doing it. So the two things I talked about were, one, not having a vision statement, the way people traditionally teach you to have a vision statement in a business plan, for instance, which tends to be a sentence, which, as I described on the call, is often meaningless. Even the best examples of it don't really mean anything. They could be really for anybody. And I'd love you to put your messages in the chat too, because I'm using StreamYard. It's a little bit difficult to see some of the messages, but I should be able to see some of them pop up here. So let me know that you're here watching. I can see eyeballs, so I know some people are watching. But if you've got any questions, ask on the way through. But vision statements really are stale because they don't have any heart. And I like to look at a vision statement and go, all right, could you hand that off to someone else to build this vision that you're creating, whether it be a vehicle like a business or whether it be a vision for a mission you're trying to achieve? Could I hand that off to someone and say, here, take that, and would they be able to run with it? Well, in most cases with a vision statement in particular, they can't, because it's a nice to have. It's often a political statement that actually helps people position themselves politically. And for big businesses in particular, it's kind of like a tick in the box to say, yes, we've done that. Yes, we know what it is. And the majority of the time I go in and speak to a corporation around a vision statement, and I ask them to tell me what their vision statement is. A lot of the time they can't tell me. So what's a better way to go forward? Well, as I said in the influencers last week, the vision story is the way to go. Now I'm going to give you one from there, and I'm going to give you some other stuff that I think is really important around influence. But the vision story is different. So the idea of a vision story is, how do you bring the five senses into your vision to help other people understand really what it is you're sharing? Now, there's a whole bunch of stuff going off in my pocket. I'm pretty sure, yeah, there's people just liking some of the stuff on LinkedIn, which is fantastic. But put it in the comments, right? So how do you bring those five senses in? And the reason to bring those five senses in is because they're the things that are going to help you recall. So everyone's able to remember. Most stuff gets into your short-term memory, then into your long-term memory. But it's the ability to recall these things that is the more difficult one. So one of the ways to recall things is to include your senses. So what do you see? What do you smell? What do you touch? What do you taste? And hear, right? The old hearing. So with a vision story, you get to do that. So imagine you're walking into a space. So it's the future. Ideally, give it a date and say, this is where I want to be achieving my vision. So we've got a mission. I'll talk to that in another session, but we know what we want to achieve, but what does it look like? So I step into this scenario, and that scenario could be walking between two sliding doors at a big building. It could be walking onto a stage if you're speaking on that subject. It could be walking into or hopping into a car, or stepping out of a car into an environment. If you've got a piece that's to do with outdoors, it's maybe stepping between two trees. Whatever it might be for you, the first step is to step in to this scenario, and through your mind's eye, and you can write this down, you can speak it out, you can actually create a video around it, whatever's going to be easiest to you. You describe what you see, hear, smell, taste, and touch. Now, you might not taste anything as you step into this environment, but you'll hear stuff. The crunch of the grass of an early morning, the pavement as you're walking up to the building, the tiles as you're actually stepping through the lobby. Whatever it might be, you'll hear stuff. And what do you see? What are the colors of the walls? Is there a person on reception? Who are they? Do you see some signage? What is it that you see in this? And what do you smell? Is it the morning? Is there coffee smells? Is it lunchtime? Can you smell those lunch smells? Are there other smells that sort of drift through as you're stepping through this scenario? And so you walk into the scenario, you step in, and you make your way to what I call the manager. So whoever's looking after that scenario. So that could be a coordinator that's running things for you. It could be the manager who's running the business now. It could be a CEO, whoever it is, at a stage where you've gone, all right, I'm successfully living my vision. Now, if that's an owner of a business, you've put management in place, so that's ticked to that. It could be a coordinator or a stage manager, whoever's looking after the event that you're actually at. Whatever it is for you, you go up to that person and you ask them, how have the last 3 months been? Which are evidence of you achieving that vision. And what do the next 3 months look like? What's going to be happening over the next 3 months? So, which will also be evidence of what's coming down the pipe. So how are you even improving from that position? So you've got the manager over here, you stepped into the scenario here. As you walk through that situation, you start to see people, you start to hear people, you hear people on the phones or people talking. What are they saying? What's the evidence of you living your vision? And what do you smell? Is it the food, the taste? What's the color of the coffee cups? That's one of my awesome ones. And so if you write this out, maybe it's 1,000 words. If you speak it out, maybe it's 5-10 minutes worth of talking yourself through that scenario. But it will give you the five senses, not five, I was about to do 10, five senses that'll help you engage in that story. And at the end of the day, recall it so that you can share it with others. So if you've created this story about you stepping in and walking through this scenario, you can talk to a manager, you can talk to a board and say, this is what I see. And describe that scenario. It engages people, it gets people on board and helps people come with you, which is really the essence of what influence is all about. So that's number one, have a vision. And that's what I talked about the other day on the influencers. And if you want to do that, if you want to check out the influencers, I will throw it up again, so I'll keep it there for the moment. Go to theinfluencerseries.com. Now, the second piece that I wanted to quickly talk about is to have influence, ideally you need to step out, which means that you need to step up and above the other people who are being beige, boring, and the same. So you've got to step out of sameness. All right, so there are 3 easy ways to step out of sameness. And luckily enough, it's just about being more you than you've ever been, right? So there are things about you, whether they be your strengths, your quirks, your weird little things that you do, the way you look, whatever it might be, there are things about you which, if you amplify them in just a little way, will have you stand out completely from all the other people out there. So having influence if you follow these 3 questions, you will be able to create influence simply by publishing around them. So, number 1, what do you love? What is the thing that you love in this world? And it might not just be one thing, it could be 5 things, however many things. Start writing a list of the things that you love. For me, it's my children. Funnily enough, though, I also love blacksmithing. I love puzzles like the one I've got up here. I do the little Rubik's Cube while I'm waiting for some of these calls. I love all those things, and I realized years back that I could start bringing them into my world, and by doing that, I actually had more impact with those people around me because they saw me as not the same as everyone else, because suddenly I was talking about things that ideally were different, but also in some cases mattered to them, because by talking about the things that you love, you're ideally sharing your values. And by sharing your values, you're attracting people with similar values. And the great thing about that is you attract people that you want to work with. You attract people that you like being around. So sharing those things that you love. Now, here's the tricky one. I also suggest that you write down a list of the things that you'd love to hate. Those little things that stick in your craw, that really annoy you, write a list of them. Because if there's some really big ones up there, they may become the base for your mission, the thing that you want to change in the world. For me, it's apathy. I can't be around people who don't care. If I'm around a person who's like, meh, whatever, I have to poke them. I can't stand it. I have to poke them until they either go away, which is fine by me, or they blow up, become angry sometimes, and then suddenly they care, right? So I'm all about passion. So usually if you look at the things you love to hate, you'll often find the thing that you love on the opposite side of that. So the things that you love to hate. So for me, it's apathy. Funnily enough, it's those little, paper straws that you get at the movie cinemas, because I find that the first one disintegrates and I have to use two. And for me using two straws instead of one is not sustainable. But that's an example of just a little thing that annoys me, but apathy really gets into me. So what are the things you love to hate, and what are the things you can throw stones at? And by throwing stones, I mean when you're publishing about the things you love to hate, point at these things and say, this is wrong in the world and this is what needs to change. This is why it needs to change, and this is how it needs to change. And really that's the essence of what your mission or your manifesto can be all about. I'll talk about that on another session. But what are the things that you love to hate? So it might be, what are other things that people are doing in your industry which you can't stand? It's a great way to stand apart from the bad reputation of an industry, is to start throwing stones at the things that are just simply not working in your industry. Yes, absolutely, Justin, I can see it. Shared values, alignment, great partnerships. That's what sharing the love is all about, and engaging people where they're at simply by being more you than you've ever been. So number one, what are the things that you love? Number two, what are the things that you love to hate? What are the things that get into you and you want to change around the world? And number three is, what are those things that challenge you, but you knew it if you did it, if you turned it into a practice, that you would get infinitely better. Now, to give you an example, the first time I ever did public speaking, I stood up there in front of a room of 200 people. It was part of a presentation for an award that we were winning. And before that, I'd only spoke to very small rooms. I'd done a little bit of teaching. It was maybe in front of 20 people. This is my first decent audience. And I got a case of what I call the Charlie Browns. Now, if anyone who remembers the Charlie Brown cartoons, the teacher in Charlie Brown would talk like this. Wah, 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 wah. Now, I started to hear wah, 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 wah coming from me, which was a sign that maybe I was about to pass out. And that's just because of the adrenaline and the fear of actually getting up there and presenting in front of people. Now, what I learned off the back of that is two things. Number one, nobody knows your script. Nobody knows what's really going on inside you. And unless they know you well, they can't even read the fear on your face a lot of the times. So they don't know what's going on inside. They thought it was a brilliant presentation, which was fantastic. But number two is, every time I did that, every time I got up on stage from that point on, I realized that opportunities would come. And so that first one, I had 20 new clients contacting me on that same day, simply off the back of an offer that I gave while giving that presentation. And so after that, I'm like, oh wow, if I step out, if I actually step into my fear and start doing this more often, it's going to be more beneficial for myself and my business. So I started to do it, and I started presenting on a regular basis. Flash forward 10 years, I'm now the past national president of a professional speaking association. So these opportunities have come simply by me stepping into my fear, stepping into the thing that challenged me, and deciding, that is the way forward. How can I find practices, little things that I can do on a regular basis to get better, which evidently will increase my my influence and my opportunity to share my message with the world. So another example is I wasn't great on video. So years back, I decided to do, off the back of some advice from a mentor, a 52-week video series. Now, he just said you should do a video every week. And I just took him at his word, and I did 52 videos for an entire year. Now, the way I set that up is I did the first 5 videos. I then published it out there to say, I've got a video every single week, 52 videos, and you can sign up for free and you can watch them every single week. And so once people started to sign up, I had to keep ahead of it. So it kept me accountable. It made me have to keep doing the practice. I've done the same thing with podcasting. And the great thing about it is it enabled me to get better. And now, I can talk straight down the lens. I've got no one else in this room. I can't see who's watching this. And it's no problem because I know that I'm engaging with people. Because I know that by doing this practice and doing this regularly, I'm engaging with people on the other side, and opportunities come to me because of the work that I'm doing to help you. All right. So that's the essence of what influence is all about. There are so many cool tips and tricks. In the Influencer series coming up, we've got, I think, Mark Jones tomorrow, who's going to be talking about belief and how to look at changing beliefs and help people work through beliefs. We've got Kate Toon, who's going to be talking about voice and how you can become more influential through your voice. We've got Kieran Zerner about how to put this stuff into action, how to become influential through influential actions. And we've got the fabulous Michelle Bowden, who's going to be talking about presentation skills and how to get more influence through persuasion. And I'm also going to be interviewing her today, which is fantastic, on an upcoming podcast. So check it out, the Marketing Report podcast. You'll be able to find that at russellpearson.com. Well, hopefully that's been really, really helpful. If you haven't signed up for the Influencer series, there is the link. Make sure you do that. This has been Tactical Tuesday. Until next time, stay passionate, and I'll catch you on the next one.